Hey, everyone. Welcome to a live winning edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Chargers now 2-0. It was the easiest game on the schedule. Glad we were able to take care of it. And I say we because we're all in this together, like I've been saying for a while. Again, Dave Palais. It's Josh Palais to my side. And again, Mario Heron at the bottom right there makes things go. We're all in different cities, but we're all watching the same game. So again, happens to be in Southern California. Mario's in DC. Josh is in Nashville, Tennessee. Right now, it's weird how the Charger game ended way ahead of all the other games. Like usually the NFL has this thing down to exactly 3 hours, and the Chargers game ended pretty quickly. It just happens when you have a team that runs the ball. Chargers again win 26-3. Mario, real quick, do you remember what your prediction was for this game?
27-3. I'm so pissed. When it was 23-3, I was like, could I luck out and get two safeties and get this right? Like if I would have gotten that right, I would have retired.
How about if Cameron Dicker would have made the extra point? You would have been fine.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. God, Dicker.
That's a new GD.
That's
created a whole brand new GD.
God, Dicker. Yeah. What do you know? That's the guy I pray to.
All right. So, Josh, I'll go to you first. I'll tell you what, while you're talking, I'm going to light up the victory cigar. And by the way, I had a ton of cigars. I can't find all but 2 of them left. I don't know what happened here. So, unless when you got married a couple weeks ago, a bunch of people took cigars out of the house. I don't know what to tell you. But not going to go buy more cigars because I expect a lot more wins. But I'll light one up while you're talking. Another victory cigar. What's your impressions of today's win?
It was great. I mean, we said it on the show before that the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, and they lived up to the hype. I mean, the Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. I haven't seen a team that bad, Mario, in a while, right? When you just watch an NFL team not be able to move the ball, constant penalties, and the Chargers made them pay. The thing I was looking for from the Chargers going into this game was, are we going to play at our level, or are we going to stoop down I can't believe you're smoking a cigar right now. Or are we going to stoop down
when it hits your lips?
Dude, this is insane. Are we going to stoop down to the level of the Carolina Panthers? And we didn't, right? That's the reason you bring in Jim Harbaugh. You take care of the teams that you're supposed to beat.
I'm completely with you. I've never seen a team give up as quickly as the Carolina Panthers do. I mean, they give up quick. One sign of adversity, one sign of we're going to lose this game, and they're done, and that's what they did. The Chargers dominated from start to finish. It was a Harbaugh win. It was a Harbaugh era win. I love that on defense side of the football. The stat, I think that's the most important to the Chargers, is that the Panthers were 1 for 12 on third down. The defense got off the freaking field when they needed to. I think that stands out to me as a big, big W of the day, Dave.
Look, I can't say that the Panthers – I didn't feel like the Panthers quit my feeling, Mario. I kind of feel like the Panthers just have nothing. Like, I mean, we talk about teams with nothing on the roster. There's nothing there. I mean, I'm looking at Adam Thielen, and we kind of made the joke earlier in the week about, hey, this guy's just hoping to get traded. There are times as you saw he's open, but man, it is tough for almost anyone on that team that might have a little bit of talent. Again, a fish stinks from the head down, and this is where this organization is. And we talked about the Panthers organization for a while. It's exactly kind of what we expected from the Panthers. At the same time, it's almost exactly what we expected from the Chargers. We'll get into some of the individual stuff, but what do we tell you about this Charger team? This is a team that's going to be built on controlling the clock, running the ball between the tackles. And the only difference for me, guys, that I'm surprised about, the running isn't being done by Gus Edwards. It's done by J.K. Dobbins. And J.K. Dobbins, for a guy that you always worry about, is he durable? Is he going to make it through a season? I get nervous. But every time he does something, I go, man, he's as great as we thought he was when he came out of Ohio State. You know, if he can stay healthy, man, he is going to be the story of the NFL, because look at what he's done in just the first 2 games. I understand it's against 2 teams that aren't going to make the postseason. I got it. But at the same time, just the fact J.K. Dobbins is doing it. If you have a history of breaking down and being injured, how's that not in the back of your mind that something bad's about to happen? We could say it as fans and tell you we're angry that J.K. Dobbins isn't available. But for him, that has gone through it year after year, that something bad happens, to go, is this it? Is this the time where something bad happens? I can't tell you how impressed I am with him. And also, credit to that offensive line and Jim Harbaugh for basically saying, this is what we're going to do. You know, we're paying this guy for a reason. We're going to get everything we can out of him.
Yeah, we said before the season started, if you can get anything out of J.K. Dobbins, it's a positive. And not only has he been great, but he's exceeded expectations by 100, right? I didn't expect J.K. Dobbins to be nearly as good as he's been, The reason why is because he's been so injured. He hasn't played. And as a Chargers fan, you really haven't expected much out of a running back in the sense of its true definition, running back. Like the Chargers haven't had a great running back in a very long time. Austin Eckler was a very good football player, but I never felt that he was a great running back. He caught the ball out of the backfield as good as anybody. But between the tackles, I'll take J.K. Dobbins every day of the week. I think J.K. Dobbins has been fantastic. The Carolina Panthers are an awful team, but you still have to make the plays, and the Chargers did that today.
I think the thing that's great too about or J.K. Dobbins is J.K. as the game goes on continues to punch you in the mouth and continues to keep going and continues to just constantly run through your face. And the Chargers have not had that. Like you mentioned with Eckler. Eckler was an amazing offensive weapon that was more used in our passing game that just couldn't really figure out running wise. And when J.K. Dobbins, and I'll even add Gus Edwards into this, there are guys that are the old-fashioned running backs that will not go down after one hit, won't go down after two hits. It's going to be 3 hits, and then they'll go down. And to have that with this style of offense is absolutely spectacular. And the goal that the Chargers offense and what Harbaugh wanted to do all year was to not put pressure on Herbert and his passing and his throwing arm. And they haven't done that. That we haven't had to lean on his arm at all yet this year. I know we haven't played like the best teams in the NFL necessarily, but it's a change of pace, right? Like if this was last year's team, Herbert would have had to throw the ball still 40 plus times in order for them to win the game. And instead he throws the ball 20 times for 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that gets us a good win. So completely change of pace. It's a different feeling and it's really nice. Dave, do you like Herbert running? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I had a slight panic attack, maybe took 3 years off my life of seeing him pull the ball and run when we were in the end zone, in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time. I mean, the guy's an athlete, and there's a time that we're going to need him to run. As I said, I'd like to see him kind of do it the way Steve McNair used to do it when the game was really important. It was a playoff situation where you're like, okay, talk about leaving it all on the field. It's the Carolina Panthers. I mean, what are we doing here? It's game 2. So let's stay safe. To get hurt against the Panthers and going, why? I understand you're supposed to give 100% all the way through. Again, it's the Carolina Panthers. It's one of those teams that will be talked about during the season. Could the University of Georgia or Texas or Alabama, could they beat the Carolina Panthers? When you always hear people bring that up, that's how bad this team is. They are the Chicago White Sox of the NFL, as we brought up a couple days ago. Here's the deal is that the beginning of the game, I'm going, they're going to hardly ever use Herbert. And this is going to be the Gus Edwards game, kind of like we spoke about on Thursday. Well, Gus Edwards ends up with 18 carries. J.K. Dobbins ends up with 17. The idea that this team ran for 219 yards against, again, an NFL team is impressive. Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh, their game plan, they stayed with it. Also, someone brought up, because I'm going to bring it up now because that's what my brain works. If I don't say it now, I'll forget about it. Someone brought it up during the show Thursday. Do you think that the Chargers will stay in Carolina for the week for the Steelers game instead of flying back to California? And I said, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. So, that was something that Bill Belichick used to do. Remember that when the Patriots would come out, they'd play the Chargers, and the next week they'd take on the Niners, and he would just keep everybody in California. It costs the team a lot of money to do that. Think how many mouths, everything that goes with it. Spanos, no offense to Spanos, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would do that. You know what I mean? But Jim Harbaugh asked for it. It was granted, and that's exactly what the Chargers are doing. They're staying in Carolina for the week, and then they're going to shoot up to Pittsburgh, and they're going to play that game against the Steelers a week from today.
Yeah, Chargers haven't been cheap, right? With their new facility, paying Jim Harbaugh, paying for players. If whatever Jim Harbaugh wants, we should give him. Not that I'm paying anything. Whatever Jim Harbaugh wants, the Chargers should give him. Dean Spanos should give him because he deserves that right. Like I said a few minutes ago, I'm going to say throughout this season, Jim Harbaugh was brought in this. Dude, your cigar smoke is unbelievable. Jim Harbaugh being brought in this season.
To be the best. You don't have to smell it. You just watch me smoke it.
I thought at first, Josh, you're going to say that it smells unbelievable. I was like, how you can smell it? I was like, that's insane.
Somebody needs to screenshot this so we can post it. But he was brought in for this reason. You beat the bad team. So if he says, I can have a competitive advantage by keeping my team on the East Coast, you say yes. And whatever Jim Harbaugh wants, you say yes. We can't go this long, guys, without talking about Quinton Johnston. I get crap for not saying his name right. Dave, Mario, myself, we've been down on him for a very long time. He was great today. He had 2 touchdowns. The first one was my favorite, the one on J.C. Horn. What do you guys have to say about his performance?
Go ahead, Mario.
All right. Well, I got Ricardo telling me I need to apologize to Quinton Johnston. I am not going to. So sorry, man. I don't do apologies. I do reckonings. I don't know. Sorry about it. No, he played a great game today. He took advantage of he did what I criticized him for last week, and he took advantage of a one-on-one matchup. He won it and he scored. And that's something that we desperately need in order to be successful this year, is for him to do that constantly. He did that. He won his matchup. And I think what I loved about the route too, guys, is that it was a ball that wasn't perfectly thrown. Like Herbert didn't throw it in the perfect spot. He had to go get the ball, and he did. He went and got the ball. He caught it, secured it, touchdown. It was a great catch. It was a great route. Everything about it was spectacular. It was great to see Quinton Johnston do that. Now you just need to build off it. Now that can't just happen against the worst team in the NFL. That has to happen against the Chiefs. That has to happen against the Steelers. That has to happen against the Ravens, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Raiders. It has to happen against everyone. It can't just happen against the worst team in the NFL and you get in a nice spot and it happens. You got to do it against the worst. You got to do it against the best. It's a great step in the direction for Quinton Johnston. I hope he continues to do it, Dave. Hope he continues to grow. And on his second touchdown, that is the worst blown coverage I've seen in quite a while in the NFL, of watching the linebacker and safety all go to the other side of the field. I mean, holy stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. This Panthers team's a mess. All right, so it's funny, as I was keeping notes on the game, all right, literally the note before he caught the first touchdown, Quinton Johnston failed to line up correctly, cost the Chargers the first down. That's literally the note. Okay. Then all of a sudden you see the pass that, again, he goes around Horn, which is a decent corner. He's a guy that if there was a trade available, people would trade for Horn. Like he's that good of a player in the league. He went out, he was aggressive, and he went and got it. He made a fantastic play on it. So again, tip my hat to Quinton Johnston on that. Again, I will say this because I don't think people understand, just like going back to the Joey Bosa part. I am not, Josh is not, Mario is not looking for guys to fail so we can be right. Being right is no fun when it comes to this, because all we care about is that scoreboard. We need Quinton Johnston to play up to what he's capable of playing up to. And so for the fact that he made that catch, I'm going, good. This is exactly what he needs. And I think the broadcaster said the same thing. This is the kind of thing Quinton Johnston needs for his confidence. On his second touchdown, as Mario said, blown coverage, not to take anything away from Quinton Johnston. How did he catch the ball? Against his goddamn chest. Again, didn't use his hands. Like, dude, even when you're wide open and you got a 5-yard touchdown reception, it's right there. You still don't catch it the way they're trying to get you to catch it. But whatever, it worked. It was 7 points, and that's what we wanted. So not to sit there and nitpick, but if you had Quinton Johnston on your fantasy team, man, you had to be happy as hell today, right? 2 touchdowns, that's pretty good right there. Most importantly for the Chargers, those 2 touchdowns help you go 2-0. So your team right now, no matter what, you're in first place still. Jim Harbaugh, it does feel different. And Mario, going back to what you said at the beginning, Jim Harbaugh doesn't let this stuff happen. He doesn't let you slip. 17 games. Be ready to play the Chargers every single week, because the Chargers aren't going to have a slip-up game. It almost feels like not only are guys have something to prove for their paycheck, something to prove to their teammates, I think a lot of it has to do is you can't let your head coach down, and you can't let your coaches that are your individual coaches let them down. Everyone knows these guys are brand new too, and these guys are sitting there. A lot was invested in these guys to come and create basically a platform of an NFL football team that this is the way things are going to be done from now on. It's a winning culture, and if you can't hack it here, what team will sit there and take you? Shows you're a loser. You got to be a winner to play for the Harbaughs. That's just the way it is.
I think that's a good point. You don't want to let down a coach that handpicked you, right? About half the players on this Chargers team that we're playing today were handpicked by Ortiz and Harbaugh, and they were very good. I think the tight ends, something I want to talk about later, were not very good. But for the most part, you have a lot of guys on this team that are new, that bring something different. Like J.K. Dobbins, to me, brings a whole new element to this team that Austin Eckler just did not bring. Gus Edwards didn't find the end zone, but he's a different running back than J.K. Dobbins. The fact that we have 2 running backs that can expose you in different ways is something the Chargers haven't had. Justin Herbert doesn't need to be Superman. I thought he was okay again. I think I would say Justin Herbert's game today was similar to the game last week, where he wasn't great. He wasn't bad, but he was good enough to win, and that's what the Chargers did. His interception that he threw was uncharacteristic, right? In that situation, I would like him to run and get out of bounds before anybody can hit him, or just not throw that ball at all. But he wasn't bad enough where you lose the game. And that's beautiful for us Charger fans to see that Justin Herbert doesn't need to throw for 400 yards for us to win the game. I loved everything I saw today, Mario. The defense, to me, might be elite. And I know the Panthers are horrible, the worst team in the league. You can't really compare yourself to them. But when you see this defense fly around the way they do, it makes you think that it's just different. Like, this is a different team, different defense. Jesse Minter has this team going the right direction, a direction, frankly, that Brandon Staley could not get them to go.
Oh my God. Not even in his dreams could Staley get this defense to where it is right now. I think the defense, to your point, is a very elite defense. Like, I don't care who you play in the NFL, to hold a team scoreless is pretty big deal. Touchdownless is a pretty big deal, and that's something that the Chargers team did. And that was a big goal I wanted to have for the Bolts today, because I think I'm sorry, guys. I have so much money riding on the freaking Seahawks right now. That's a first down. If I swear to fucking God, if they blow this game, I'm gonna have a panic attack. Sorry. No, but the defense, I think an okay defensive unit, Panthers put up 10 to 13 points. An elite defense unit, it's 3 or 0 points, and the Chargers have elite defense. I thought there's one guy I wanted to give a shout out to on the defense too. Perryman, I think, is everywhere on the freaking field. He's everywhere. And we didn't give him enough love last game against the Raiders. I thought he had a pretty good game in that one too. I thought he had a great game today, especially in the first half. I thought he was flying around on the field. Gives a lot of energy out there as well. The corners were making a lot of good plays too. I know it's not the best receivers in the world, but still, I was really happy with the defense today. Again, 1 for 12 on a third down was my biggest thing, and 69 passing yards. Hope you guys did that last night too. Was another big thing that I was really proud of for the Chargers. Also, Dave, Adam Thielen, he's got to leave, right? Like, that guy looks like he wants out.
Oh, I think there are a lot of guys that want out. So going back to the defense real quick, it is amazing to me. I mean, basically overall, these are the same players, right? I mean, there's some different guys here and there, and even the new guys they have brought in, and again, tip your hat to Joe Ortiz. The guys they brought in have helped out a lot. They've been good right away. These guys have been good. But man, to see that the majority of these guys are the same guys that were there last year, it looks like a completely different team. Like, I can't explain it. I've never seen anything like it where you're going, was it all Mike Davis? Like, they were so bad last year that you just couldn't even almost look at the TV. And now they, as you said, they look dominating. And I understand it's the Raiders and it's the Panthers. These guys are in the right place at the right time. These guys are throwing different looks. These guys are fast. All of a sudden, man, it looks really fun to watch. I'm really curious to see what it looks like next week against the Steelers as well, because you're going, if you can keep this going, it changes so much. It just changes so much on what your team is. When teams start to panic going, man, it's going to be tough to get every yard, to get every first down, to get on the scoreboard. It changes. Nobody wants to go against a dominating defense. And all of a sudden, this team looks really, really good with their defense. And again, before you guys write a million things, guys, it's the Panthers. I got it. At the same time, we're only in game 2, and these guys, you aren't seeing the blown coverages like you saw the Panthers pull today.
Not at all, man. Not at all. I think the push by the defensive line should get credit as well. 2 games in a row, the defensive line handled the line of scrimmage. Henley, to me, looked very good. He was fast, moving all over the field. Perryman looked very good. Junior Colson, to me, looks like a guy that didn't get time in training camp, and he's not all the way there yet. He gets nicked up again, has to walk to the training room. He had 1 tackle, missed 1 tackle in the backfield. I think he's going to be just fine. Junior Colson's a solid player. He'll be there. I love watching the defense more than the offense, Mario, and that never happens when you talk about the Chargers. I used to hate when the defense was on the field because I'd pull my hair out under Brandon Staley. But now I'm like, dude, we're going to hit somebody. We're going to hit somebody in the backfield. We're going to make plays. Bud Dupree knocking heads off. Like, there's Elijah Molden knocking heads off. I love that this Chargers team is aggressive. I always felt like the offense was the aggressor and we would kind of just hold them up and try to bring them to the ground. It's like not the case anymore. We are hitting the hell out of guys. That's one of the reasons I like this Chargers team more than last year. The second reason, and I did not expect this, Mario, 2 games in the season, second game in a row, the Chargers have had more rushing yards than passing yards. My question to you would be, is that sustainable for a team that wants to win consistently? Can you have more rushing yards than passing yards in today's NFL and win consistently?
You can beat the Raiders, you can beat the Panthers, you can beat the Steelers, you can beat the Broncos, the Cardinals. You can maybe beat the Browns. You cannot beat the Chiefs with that, I don't think. I think it's got to be a good 50-50 mixture. And if I had to say like a negative on the game, you kind of hinted at it, Josh. The tight ends. I mean, if they give one more penalty, one more drop pass, one more, hey, I'm an idiot type of play, I mean, my Lord. I can't remember what tight end it was, but when Herbert escaped pressure, somehow got it out, and the first thing numbnuts did was catch it and fumble it. It should have been a fumble, and Panthers got the ball. Tomlinson, yeah. I mean, what the hell are you doing? That group is by far the weakest link in this team, and it's not even close. It's by a pretty wide margin. Like, if that group had its crap together, this team would be very, very serious, would be on the level of championship contender, but that is a group that's going to hold them back throughout the year. I mean, it's very, very evident. It's a great win, David. I don't want to take anything away from that, but that is my thing of that group's is gonna be the reason why we lose some games.
Man, yeah, I think it's going to be one of the reasons why we don't win games. I mean, as I said, that the options that are there, that is frustrating that they weren't able to sit there and figure out that one part of the team. Looking at what the Chargers do, Josh, going back to your question, can you win as far as just being a running team? I mean, not a running team, but run and get the majority yards that way. I mean, the Titans took it all the way to a number 1 seed a few years ago with Derrick Henry, but yet they lost in the first round to the Bengals, right? I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. It's hard to advance throughout the playoffs when that's what you do. You have the quarterback to do it. You have the weapons, and we need some of these wide receivers to grow up fast. Ladd's one of those guys that you think he looks ready. To me, he looks ready. Like, give him the ball more. He's ready. Just give him an opportunity. Quinton Johnston, you hope this is a building block game for him. He proved that all of a sudden he has game film where if you're the Steelers, you're preparing now for Quinton Johnston. There was a play in the game because none of us were obviously at the game. Josh Palmer got hurt. Did you guys catch it? And the announcer completely is ignoring the fact he is rolling around screaming. Either he's grabbing his arm or grabbing his, private parts, but he is rolling around on the ground like he's on fire. And it's like, nothing to see here. I'm just going to keep talking. Nothing's happening. And then they go back to the next play and Josh Palmer's not on the field. Like, what happened? I mean, you just get to ignore that there's a player on the field just rolling like 5 yards at a time. And the ball's like was completed right behind his back. He almost run over, and it's like, all right. So Josh Palmer is kind of what we said. And again, not to put down the guys on the team that are helping you win, but Josh Palmer is not considered an NFL one. He just isn't. Wish he was, but he never has been. He just has never been that guy. So it's going to be some growing up to do. Palmer, by the way, finished the day 2 receptions, 19 yards. Quinton Johnston, 5 receptions, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was big. Disley, you always say hold on to the ball. He literally holds on to the ball. He runs even when guys aren't around him. He runs with 2 arms and an armpit and everything he can to make sure that ball's never going to come loose. But he's like, dude, how slow are you running like that? Like, who taught you to run like that with the ball?
He's not supposed to catch the ball. And same with Tomlinson. Why is our 4th string tight end even in the game? Like, the dude looked like he caught the ball and tried to drop it as fast as he could, like it was a hot potato. I was so confused. Why is our 4th string? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm 100% fine with Will Disley holding the ball with his armpits and his nuts and whatever he wants to do so he doesn't fumble the ball. That's fine by me. Hayden Hurst, where are you at, bro? Like, you're supposed to be the guy that makes plays down the field. So far, Gerald Everett has been much more of a threat than Hayden Hurst is. It's 2 games into the season, so I'm not going to crucify him yet. But I am scratching my head thinking, do we have any threat at tight end, like, at all? Is there any threat at tight end? Is Josh Palmer not up for the challenge? Quinton Johnston has proven he is up for the challenge 2 games in. First game was a building block. Today was phenomenal. And Ladd McConkey, I'm with you. Ladd McConkey is a guy on this team that should have at least 8 targets every game. He's going to get open. He's proven he can get open. And the one thing that he's done that my knock on Keenan Allen is he doesn't get tackled on the first touch. He'll slip out of a tackle. He'll make a move. Keenan Allen was very much a guy that would catch the ball and then go down to the ground so he doesn't get hurt. Ladd McConkey is a very good yards after the catch type of guy, which makes me very happy to see that a rookie is willing to run in the middle of the field, get open, and take a hit. Kind of reminds me of Julian Edelman. Right now, I'd say him and QJ are definitely 1 and 2, and then Josh Palmer would be the distant 3. He just hasn't been that guy yet. I have faith in Josh Palmer. Obviously, he got hurt today. I think he's going to be fine. But you need to have Josh Palmer be a threat, and you need to have at least one tight end be a threat. You can't rely on QJ, Ladd, and JK and Gus. That's not enough. And Justin Herbert, to me, I would let him throw the ball a little bit more going into these next games, because I don't know if J.K. Dobbins can take that type of beating, a guy that's missed so many games in the last few years. Can he run the ball 20 times a game and maintain that throughout the year? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with
Go ahead.
Oh, go
And
ahead.
real quick, just go stand with this. Alana Moore and some of the other people in here saying definitely miss Everett. I didn't understand why we let him go. Just don't understand why we just said, hey, see ya.
He had more played more snaps and more catches last week than Cole Kmet. And Cole Kmet was tied in 1 last week, which was like really weird. A lot of people were complaining about last week in Chicago. Side thing too, I'm with you guys, man. I really think Ladd needs to be more involved. I'm really calling for it. I mean, today you mentioned it, Josh. His ability to, I'm going to call it catch and get small in the middle of the field is in a very underrated talent where he can catch the ball in a tight space and he gets small in a way because guys will come in and hit high and he's small enough where he can kind of duck under it and get an extra 2 to 3 yards. And when you have to cut your route off short or your distance a little bit short, that's key in getting that first down. And he perfects that to a whole nother level. And like, that's the thing that Julian Edelman could do to an absolute T. And I want to see more of that from him. There was a time in the game, I know I don't want to be like, again, he played a great game, don't want to harp on him too long, but that all announcers were talking about it. Like, it was a 3rd down in the second quarter. I believe it was his first drive of the second quarter. And Quinn's just eyes weren't turned around yet to the quarterback, and he was open, and Herbert just didn't throw because his eyes went around. What if we just kind of work that more into Ladd's scenario? All right, Ladd's a first read on this one. Let's look at Ladd and like what type of coverage or who he has in this situation. Let's kind of get the ball to him more in that. That's something I'd like to see for them going forward, Dave. Also, side note, Joshua Palmer's screen pass, that was just because the corner was 5 yards off the ball, was the worst effort I've ever seen anyone try to make a tackle. That corner didn't touch him until 7 yards. And like, just like, I've never seen that before. Like, he literally didn't make any advancement to tackle him. And like, Palmer got the easiest 7 I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, that's what bad teams do, right? That's what bad teams do. You guys watched the end of this Raiders Ravens game?
Oh my gosh.
There we go. All right. Raiders shocked Baltimore winning 26-23 on the road. So just to interrupt, his scores are going through. That's an amazing win right there. Again, Chargers have to take on the Ravens down the line. The Harbaughs against the Harbaughs will be exciting. Yeah, I'm curious to know what it looks like next week. Like, I'm already excited for next week. I was thinking about this watching, the Chargers game, because this was a game that really was never in doubt. We kind of spoke about it all week long, saying we expect to win, and they did what they're supposed to do. But it's amazing how so many of us are NFL fans. If you're listening to the show right now, you're watching the show live, number one, give us a like, the thumb button right now. Like the show, subscribe to the show. This is the time. We need it. The other thing is, if your team is like one of these teams, and we'll put your favorite team over money, because when you fell in love with football, it wasn't about gambling, it wasn't about fantasy football. It's because you had a favorite football team. If you're in one of these games, like if you're a Ravens fan, you just had a horrible week. Like, starting right now, your week is terrible for the next 7 days, right? We're all degenerates. Like, we're all so affected by these 3 hours of the week that it really determines what kind of mood you're in when you're going to walk into the office or have to actually do something you don't want to do, which is usually work or go to the grocery store, and you're in a bad mood, Like, one thing I used to love about San Diego and the Chargers, Mario, when they had LT here and they had Gates and they had Rivers and you had a bunch of stars on the team, everybody wore their Charger stuff on Fridays on work, and then kids wore it to school on Fridays. And then on Sunday nights, people go to grocery shopping and everyone's wearing Charger jerseys.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
If they won, it was this move. Like that, the head up. And if they lost, it'd just be like this, the slow shake, not side to side. Shit. And that was it. Without even speaking a word, everybody knew what you were doing, how you're communicating. But that's how it is. When you're in an NFL city and you have your team, it all depends on these 3 hours on what your mood's going to be like for the next 7 days. It's crazy. Just going back to what we said the other day, when someone says, "What's your team?" we all know it's an NFL team. It's fantastic. And not to go on a crazy tangent here, but I was flipping on to Major League Baseball for a second because I'm trying to think. I love baseball, but I'm like, why is the NFL so much better than Major League Baseball? There has to be one thing. Do you realize for every pitch, there's another play in the NFL? Like, it could be a ball, and then it could be another ball, and then it's 2-0, and you're like, nothing happened. But in the NFL, first down, second down, there's urgency. All right. In baseball, it isn't that way. It's just a different tone. It's the best sport going. and there's nothing like it. It's the greatest reality show on television is the NFL, and it gets great every single week.
Dude, the NFL is so great. I'm sitting in my house watching the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, there's no other sport where I'm watching two teams I really don't care about like the NFL. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat to see if Amari Cooper can get a catch for my fantasy team. I don't care how the Royals are doing when they're playing against the Guardians. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. So the NFL is the absolute best. I think it's funny the way us NFL fans look at a game and our mindset. I have a question for both of you. When you watch the Ravens and the Raiders, are you upset that the Raiders win because they're in your division, obviously, and you don't want a team in your division to win? Or do you look at that and say, we beat the Raiders, they just beat the Ravens. Maybe this Chargers team is even better than I thought they were.
Go ahead, Mario. I got an answer. Go ahead.
So I think it's a scenario in one, it's the classic Ravens letdown spot where we're at home and we're going to play a team that we're better than, and we're not going to, win the game. And they're playing against, I just think every week, Antonio Pierce is going to have the Raiders in the game. And if you make a mistake late in the game, they will win that game because they're too competitive. They're too in your face, not going to give up, and they're too talented. So if you make a last minute mistake, if Herbert throws a pick in our game, that game goes the other way. Lamar didn't have a great game today. That game doesn't go their way. They're just a team that they're going to play you to the final play, the final whistle, and it's going to go either way every single time. It's just going to be like that for every team they play. I don't think they'll blow anyone out, and I don't think they're going to get killed either, Dave. I think it's just every game for the Raiders is going to be a bloodbath.
All right, a couple things. One is I was rooting for the Raiders. Not for the reason is I don't think the Raiders are a team I'm concerned about. I don't think they make the postseason. I don't think the Raiders are that good. Coaching wise, it doesn't matter the Raiders won today. I still take John Harbaugh over Antonio Pierce. He's a better coach. He has a history of winning. He's won a Super Bowl. He has the MVP on his team. I look at what does it mean down the road for the Chargers, and for me, what it means down the road for the Chargers, the Ravens are a team we might see twice this year. Might see them during the regular season, I might see them in the postseason. And if the Ravens can lose games, and it means possibly hosting a game against the Ravens again at SoFi in the playoffs, whatever benefits us in the postseason and a home field advantage, if people want to say it's a home field advantage, fine. It means you don't have to get on an airplane. And so I was rooting for the Raiders for that reason, is I'm afraid you're going to see the Ravens down the road. There's a much better chance the Ravens make the playoffs than the Raiders make the playoffs. I expect the Chargers to beat the Raiders twice this year. So that was the reason why I thought it benefited the Chargers for the Raiders to win this game. Ravens are 0-2. I mean, that's crazy too to think about, right? You're 0-2 and you went out and you have now two healthy tight ends, which you decide you aren't going to use either one. I don't know what the hell's going on in Baltimore. You have the MVP. Doesn't look like the MVP. The Ravens right now have to be scratching their head. All of a sudden, doesn't seem like a very good team. A lot of times when teams don't get to the finish line, meaning that Super Bowl, that's when you start, pointing fingers and start saying, I'm going to get mine, and things don't work when you play as a team that way. And I think you're seeing it with a couple other teams right now in the NFL. I think Detroit guys could be on the same path as well.
Yeah.
What the hell's happening in Detroit? Is there such a thing of having so many guys with so much talent that all of a sudden are complaining they aren't getting the ball and looking out for their own instead of looking out for the team first? And does the message by the coach start to get old as well? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just curious what you guys think. Mario, I know you got something to say about this right now. I can tell you're ready to talk.
All I'm going to say, and I'll just toss it back to you, Josh. Ravens' next 3 games after starting off 0-2, at Dallas, home against Buffalo, at Cincinnati. That's a very rough, tough 3 after being 0-2. Really rough.
Maybe Dallas is pretenders too. I mean, the Saints could be legit. Saints blow their doors off. I don't think the Cowboys are as bad as they played today. But you got to scratch your head when you look at teams like the Detroit Lions, who are crowning themselves in the offseason for some mysterious reason, Mario. Like, you guys still have not won anything. People are talking about the Detroit Lions like they're the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't understand that at all. The Ravens and Raiders, I asked the question a second ago, which one do you want? If I could have both teams lose, obviously I'd want that situation. But I would like for the Raiders to show that they're better than what they showed against the Chargers. If they beat the Ravens, then they end up beating the Ravens. I'm never going to cheer for the Raiders. But that proves to me as a Chargers fan that we have a very good team, because the Ravens are supposed to be right there towards the top of the AFC as one of the best teams in the NFL, and the Chargers beat the Raiders, no problem. The Ravens obviously just lost to the Raiders. I am very confident going into this next week against the Steelers, Mario, that we have a top team in the NFL. We have a top coach in the NFL. I believe he's a top 5 coach in the NFL. I believe our quarterback is top 5 in the NFL. I believe our offensive line is right there towards the top. I love that we have 2 tackles that can compete with any 2 tackles in the NFL. I think Joe Alt is better than advertised. People want to talk about how Joe Alt was the number 5 pick, right? He's supposed to be a guy that you can rely on for the next 10 years. Dude, he is that and more. Like, I don't even worry about Joe Alt giving up a pressure. Last season, I watched Trey Pipkins, like, don't screw this up on 3rd down. You're like, it's a passing situation. Don't screw this up. With Joe Alt, don't even have to worry about him. The next thing I'm looking for, can QJ get open? Can Ladd get open? Can Josh Palmer get open? And I'm not worried about the offensive line. I love that the Chargers can protect Justin Herbert. I believe he was sacked 1 time today. And going into next week against TJ Watt, you have to keep him upright. Justin Herbert cannot take a hit. Today, he took a nasty hit, right, when he was running the ball, and it scared all of us Charger fans. But the fact that he can stay in the pocket, be healthy, we can compete with anyone.
I'm with you. I think the Chargers can compete in any game or are going to compete in any game. And you mentioned with Joel versus Crosby. Crosby had 2 sacks today and 5 tackles. Like, he played a hell of a game today, and I think that screams out more to how dominant Joe Alt was last week. And even this week, by the way. I mean, Clowney if Joe Alt should have took a pocket out, and Clowney could have held it the whole freaking time. I mean, hold his towel, too, while he's in the shower. Like, it was just insane of how dominant he was against him today. So, that pick's looking better and better. I swear to freaking God, if Chiefs don't freaking cover today, I'm going to freak out. Dude, I am sorry. This is stressing me out. But I'm
How much
also
did you
curious.
bet on the Chiefs? What the hell just happened here?
Dude, it was 4th and 4.
I know, but you can't bet on the Chiefs. What are we doing here? They're in our division. We're always rooting against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm also in the business of making money. I don't know if you know this, but if you bet on the Chiefs, you tend to make money. They've won me a lot of money off the Super Bowl last year. But quick thing is, I'm really curious today, too, because I know they're playing right now, but I'm very curious, Dave, to see how the Steelers match up against the Broncos, because I think that's going to be a good tell of what we're going to see next week and how this game's going to go next week against us. Even though I think we're a more talented team, I think it's just going to be a good tell of where the Steelers are at and how much they're going to have to lean into TJ Watt literally winning the game for them.
All right, a couple things. One is, real quick, going back to Joe Alt. I love the fact Joe Alt's helmet comes off and he doesn't stop on the play.
Love that.
I don't know. I do. I like that.
That's so
stuff.
Midwest. That's so Midwest.
It's the most Midwest thing of all time. Let me tell you this. Midwest people pray for their helmet to pop off in a game and they keep playing. They pray for that moment. That's our gold star. Baby.
And to make a tackle. And to make a tackle.
Yeah,
so
that's all we do. That's all we want in life.
I mean, so he knows the rule. The helmet's off. There's going to be a flag no matter what. He could have just stopped and let him go in and do whatever he wanted, but he didn't. Clowney knocks his helmet off and he continues to play and blocks the whole deal, which yeah, I love, man. It's great. It was my kid. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? But at the same time, I like that stuff. It's also funny how Jadeveon Clowney's been with 8 million teams in the NFL, has not come close to being the player everybody thought he was going to be. Do you remember the guy who went number 5 when he went number 1? He was on the field today too. Khalil Mack. I mean, and the deal is, if they would have drafted Mack over Clowney at the time, people thought the Texans were crazy. But come on, Clowney's been a joke. He's been a clown. He's actually lived up to his name. He's been a complete joke. So the fact that Joe Alt again held him in place, man, I loved it. Love seeing it. Fantastic. I mean, I know you don't buy offensive lineman jerseys too often. I think you're going to start seeing some 76 jerseys all of a sudden at SoFi. People are going to be excited to say, hey, he's our guy. He's our future Hall of Famer. He's that kind of player. He looks like, because I compared him to Joe Thomas early on, that, hey, they might have that guy. That being said, love offensive weapons, because it's never too early to talk about the draft. A couple of years from now, I would love to see Ryan Williams from from Alabama, show up and be a Charger one day. If you are not watching college football, I'm going to ask Josh this question. And I asked Mario. Mario, hell, you watch a ton of NFL. Tell me Ryan Williams doesn't look like Jamar Chase right now at 17 years old. I mean, he's a freak.
I feel bad for the poor kid that just failed his calc test and on Friday night had to go guard Ryan Williams in the slot, dude.
Dude, he skipped a year of high school to jump into major college football. Look, for people who don't know what we're talking about, if you kind of watch college football, watch number 2 on offense for Alabama. He looks like Jamar Chase right now. It's insane how good this guy is.
Dude, I've never seen anything like that.
Football. Youngest guy in D1 right now.
High school football was so easy for this guy that he skipped a year to go play for the Alabama Crimson Tide and casually steps in as the #1 wide receiver. It's unbelievable. He scored, I believe, a touchdown in every game so far, all 3 games. But Hollywood Williams, dude, he's insane. Marvin Harrison Jr., I know we're focusing on this show. He is going nuclear right now on the LA Rams. Malik Neighbors had a fantastic game too. I think this is going to be one of those wide receiver classes we'll be talking about for years, of how many guys in this class are just straight up ballers. I know Roma Dunze is hurt right now. I think he's very good as well. But Neighbors has a great game. Marvin Harrison Jr. is already having a great game with 2 touchdowns. We really want the Bengals to beat the Chiefs, right? I understand that the Bengals are in the AFC and we hate them as well, but I'm cheering for the Bengals. I'm sorry, Mario. I know you're betting on the Chiefs, but if the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Chiefs, we stand atop of the AFC West.
I'm with you, and I think it also gives a little confidence to the Chargers. It kind of shows like, hey, this is how you beat them. This is how, like, they're not invincible. Like, they're not like this all, Thanos type of team. Like, nah, there's some dinks in the armor. Like, you can take them out. So, I want them to win because I like to win money. But hey, if they do win, that's fine. I mean, Bengals win, that's fine too. I'm willing to sacrifice my bank account for the community. Okay, that's the type of guy I am. But even though we're 2 weeks in, guys, is it fair to say that, I know this is probably not like a hot take at all, but like, I feel like the NFL is wide open right now, like wide open. Like, so many teams that I felt really confident in going into the year. 2 weeks in the small sample size we have, Dave, I'm going like, there's a lot of question marks on that team. That team has a lot of holes. That team's a lot better. Like, I feel like there's no tiers right now. Everyone's just all in the same bunch.
You might be right. I mean, look at the Niners. They're the team Vegas said had the best roster, right? By the way, I'm answering Sean's question right now. Sean, yes, I'm smoking. It's called a victory cigar. I'm almost to the bottom of this thing. Not only am I smoking, Sean, I'm dipping tobacco right here on this side. So I can't sit. I'm double tobacco in it right now. Okay. So yeah, you want to know you turned in late. Here's the deal, man. We're going victory cigar after every Charger win. That's the way it's going to be. So yeah, I don't disagree with you, Mario. It's the NFL. It's the way it's supposed to be, right? I mean, the Rams played pretty good against the Lions. All of a sudden, the Detroit team, an Arizona team that's not supposed to be very good, they look great right now, up 14-0 with 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter against the Rams. The Rams are having a hard time stopping them. Niners lose. The Chiefs could lose today. Ravens lose at home to the Raiders. Hey, the Chargers are 2-0. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in the NFL, and this is what makes this league great. But right now, it might be more wide open than we can remember in a long time in recent years, as the Chiefs are trying to become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, let's get to some of these star chats here. I think we already got to this one, but Ricardo says Mario apologized to QJ now. He's not going to apologize. He said he doesn't do apologies. Yeah, I mean, we've moved on from this. QJ, prove us wrong, right? We're Charger fans. We want you to be great. Baron says, Baron 1282 says, I started Edwards because Dave told me to. It's bad advice.
I know, I did too.
Honestly, don't care. We won. Only thing I care about is the W. I had a bet today. I told you guys I never gamble. I bet for the Chargers to cover the spread. Obviously, I won there. I also bet anytime Gus Edwards touchdown, lost there. But overall, I made a profit. And then Chase says, Mario made me put my house on Dalton Kincaid touchdown. Now I'm homeless. Wife left me and took the kids. Thanks.
Good job, Mario.
You know what? It sounds like the wife and kids weren't that much of a good time. So I would, take the money got left, get an apartment. I would go, if you're already in California, what I would do is I would go to the club that we went to after Josh's wedding. I would just have a good time.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Very good advice. All right. Baron 1282 again. $5. We appreciate that. He says, just saying thanks. I enjoy the show a lot. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Awesome. This is one that I wanted to get to. Thank you, Mario, for highlighting this one. It comes from Cario. It says, did y'all see Justin Herbert yell at Scott Madlock? Yes. And I loved every second of it. He yelled at 2 people today. One was Scott Madlock, and I cannot remember who the other person was. Somebody in the chat
he was upset with Quinton Johnston on that one play.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
We freaked out. You could hear it
because
through the mic.
Yeah. He didn't come back is the deal, right? When a quarterback is out of the pocket and he's scrambling, receivers are supposed to come back, and he didn't come back.
Yeah. So yeah, Quinton Johnston is only up from here. I mean, great game today. I can't even pronounce these next ones, Mario, in this comment. This one comes from Tim, $5. I'll give it my best shot. It says, I'm smoking a Christoph Lucero cigar rated 92 overall. Is cigar
Aficionado.
nice, dude. As a celebration of the win, go Dave, fellow cigar smoker. Yeah,
I am
Dave
a cigar smoker.
How many more cigars are you gonna buy? Because you're smoking one after every win.
I got to do the math. I got to prepare in case we don't win the division cigar, and then I got to do the math on this. I got to go. I honestly got. I had a bunch of brand new ones, not even open. I couldn't find them anywhere. I was looking for the last hour with the whole second half in the house where they went. I will. I'll go buy cigars though this week. At the same time, someone asked me what kind of chew do I have. Look, I don't recommend chewing. It is a horrible habit. That being said, I've been doing it since 2008. Love it. Okay. The one I have right now, someone wants to send it to me. That's fine. It's Stoker's. This is the one I have. It comes in the big tubs. They don't sell it in California anymore because they don't sell flavored tobacco. So I have to go to Arizona to get it. But either way, it's my favorite thing. All right. If you told me I could either chew or and only eat 2 meals a day, I would chew. I enjoy it that much. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, don't let your kids watch this show. All right.
I'm not saying it's good. I just told you it's horrible for you. It's
I know. I'm just saying if you have a child,
keeps me from road rage and beating people up in the neighborhood. So I don't know what to tell you.
That's a positive. So before we get out of here, let's what's your biggest takeaway? I have mine. Do you guys have your big takeaway from today?
Hold on, we got one more. I got one more apology in here too.
Okay.
Look, because it was Thursday. I didn't know Tua was going to sit there and get his bell rung again. I mean, what do you guys want me to say? I thought the Dolphins were going to win that game. Mario's the one that picked the Bills to win that game. We'll go through the wins and losses, of course, on Tuesday where we wrap up the week. I think right now Mario's off to a pretty good start. I will say this. Tua, I don't know why he didn't slide. Like, what are you doing? And it didn't even look like it was that hard of contact. I mean, you literally might have ended your career on a guy who just had a heart attack in front of all of us on the field a couple of years ago. Now you're at home answering the iron when the phone rings. You don't know what the hell's going on. Like, is it time to call it a career for Tua?
No.
I don't think so. What would you do if you were him? Because he's guaranteed $124 million if he calls it a career. Would you say I'm done? 26 years old.
Oh, if it was me, I probably would, but I don't think he's going to retire. I don't know why the NFL players don't wear those caps where it protects your head.
There are two guys in the league that do. There are two players in the league that do it.
Well, it's like more than two. There's more than two.
I think it's only
linemen.
Two.
No, there's I've seen a lot of linemen have it. Skilled guys.
The giant heads. Here's the deal. In baseball, guys didn't want to wear that protective thing for your face, and then all of a sudden it takes one big star to wear it, and then now people wear them all the time, right? But people didn't want to protect their face, even though it seemed dangerous as hell. In football, I think it's one of those you're going to see more and more guys doing it, wearing the big cap. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Looks like you're wearing a pillow on your head. It does look weird. Remember in baseball a few years ago, they came out with that big giant pitcher's cap?
Yeah.
And like one guy wore it and everyone laughed at him, and then he was out of the league and no one ever wore one again. But again, it's to save your life. What?
Bad locker room. He was a bad locker room guy. Did his own thing.
Yeah.
Dude, the helmet thing is going to be something we look back at in 10 years and say, why didn't everybody have one? Like, I'll give you a good example of something we already are looking back at and saying, how the hell do we not have this already? Was that net at Major League Baseball stadiums? People are just getting killed in the stands. And now we put a net up. Like, how was that not something that was put up years ago? But now we're like, okay. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, that was a great idea. The helmet thing, everybody should have one of those. You want to protect your head. That's the most important thing you have. This question by B. Hannon, $5 says,
thanks.
Is Harbaugh hurt? What's up with his walk? Laugh out loud. Forgive me if I don't know the term. I think it's called a pimp walk is what he has going on.
So it's called.
Yeah, it's a pimp walk.
It's called a
victory walk. Dude, maybe it's because he's doing those tire things with the rest of the team in the offseason. He hurt his back. I don't know.
You're 60s. Yeah, maybe your joints aren't meant to do that.
The guy played professional football and like still every practice puts cleats on. And like tries for in the warm-ups. Like, he's gonna walk weird. Guy's gonna walk weird the rest of his life. Like, that body's not okay.
Mario, I got a funny story for you. Maybe it's not even appropriate for the show, but hell, I'm smoking and dipping on the same time. So I'm gonna tell the story anyway. A buddy of mine in high school, his dad had made a lot of money, and we're in his house and we're downstairs. We're watching the LA Kings hockey game, and he's upstairs with his brand new trophy wife. You know, the like trophy wife that looks like she just graduated high school with us. You know?
Yeah.
And either way, you know, I'm sure it was an attraction thing, not a money thing. But either way, we're
It
downstairs.
was love, actually.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you just hear, you know, oh, F word, and then this big collapse, like it sounded like a piano collapsed on the floor, and then all of a sudden calling 911, wheeling him out half naked with a sheet over him. He blew his ACL out with the new trophy wife. It was hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah. How about that?
dude,
Maybe Jim Harbaugh's body's not meant for it either.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're playing a dangerous game when you go that young.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Honestly, if that happened to me, I would look my kid in the eye and I go, I'm proud of this is the way I go. You know?
This is the way I went. I blew my knee up.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm happy it was this way.
Yep.
Biggest takeaway of the game, Josh. I think it's two for me. One, that we're through two games and the defense is only allowed one touchdown, and Quinton Johnston taking a step in the right direction. I think those are two biggest takeaways I have for this. And someone asked the question, her nasty 23. If we all think Herbert will go for more than 200 pass yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt it. Maybe I'd maybe right on the dot, if any. But this game was a step in the right direction. And I think that's something we can keep building off of.
Yeah, my big takeaway is QJ. I don't know how you could watch this game and that wouldn't be your big takeaway. Maybe J.K. Dobbins, 2 games in a row, just being awesome. But if QJ can be reliable throughout the season, that brings a whole new wrinkle to this Chargers offense. And for the 200 yards for Herbert, I'm going to say yes, because I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to allow you to beat them on the ground. I think the Chargers will get theirs here and there on the ground, but they won't allow the Chargers to run all over them like the Raiders and Panthers did.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think things are going to change. The way they established the dominance in the run, again, 219 yards on the ground for the Chargers are really impressive. At the same time, Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, they're going to make the Chargers throw the ball. And I think when you look at Justin Herbert, I think he does get that 200. He's going to have to. He's going to have to. The receivers are going to have to step up. They have to get better every single week. Chargers know it too. Jim Harbaugh's not dumb. He knows people have game film on what they're doing, and it doesn't take, you know, a football genius to figure out this is the Chargers' plan of attack the whole year. We're going to establish the run. We're going to control the clock. Again, almost every NFL game comes down to exactly 3 hours. That's one reason why the NFL is great. This game ended 20 minutes early because they ran the ball so much. I mean, we're now going to throw it to the Jets-Titans game because we got 20 minutes. It doesn't happen like that anymore. The NFL has this thing figured out with commercials and everything else that never happens. But Charger football, it's different. They're taking steps back before they take steps forward, and a little bit of old school football, you aren't always prepared for it. The Chargers become one of those teams in the league. Teams don't want to face them for a variety of reasons, but one is they make it physical. And it's not just, hey, how good are your corners? It is one of those where, hey, not only do you have to have a pass rush against this team, but you're going to have to stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, it's going to be a short, long afternoon for you playing against Jim Harbaugh and this Charger team. And they established it the first 2 weeks. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's going to make Justin Herbert throw the ball, and he's going to make those guys catch the ball, meaning those guys, the guys that we've been waiting to step up. This is going to be a tremendous test for the Chargers next Sunday. Again, if you missed it at the beginning, Chargers are staying back in Carolina this week. So time change isn't going to be a big factor. That 10 a.m. in the morning game, which is always seems to be one of those things the Chargers can't react to or have trouble reacting to through their entire history, which can't understand. It's not like you're playing in Japan. You're just going 3 hours east, but the Chargers seem to have trouble doing it. They're facing the Steelers, East Coast time, 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's go. You know, let's go this way with this thing, as Norv Turner used to say.
Let's fight. It's going to be a brawl. And quick shout out, 2-0 start, first one since 2012 for the Chargers, and first game over 200 yards rushing since week 1 of last year.
Wow.
Up.
How about that?
How about
How
that?
about that? Yeah, we'll let you guys go. We'll let you go back and watch some of these afternoon games. Rams are down 21-0, just the beginning of the second quarter. Insane against Arizona. Steelers just scored a touchdown against the Broncos with about a minute remaining in the first quarter. It'll be interesting to see who the quarterback is. We'll talk a lot about that as well. Who's quarterback for the Steelers against the Chargers next week. And we'll break down how we all did throughout the weekend as well. Again, Mario, off to a good start, man. Hope you finish out these bets.
Dude, UFC went 5-0 on the card last night too. It's a good weekend for your boy.
Wow.
But yeah, I would like to send all my money to Darnell Washington for maybe a diet routine because Buddy's looking a little thick, a little too thick. Serious, you see on that touchdown? I mean, easy on the McD's, brother. Come on now.
All right, hey, thanks again, everyone who participated. The super chats were awesome. If you weren't live for the post game show, go ahead and leave your comments in the YouTube chat. We'll sit there and respond to those as well, like we always do. Otherwise, we're going to be back on Tuesday at 1:00. Chargers win today, 26-3. They're now 2-0 on the season, first place in the AFC West. For Mario Heron, Josh Pele, I'm Dave Pele. We'll see you in 2 days.